You've been told to try harder, be nicer, give more. But no one told you the truth. Women aren't loyal to effort. They're loyal to one thing only, and once you understand it, you'll never feel confused again. You could give her everything, your time, your money, your loyalty, and still lose her to a man who gives her none of that. Why? Because what keeps a woman loyal isn't what you do. It's how she feels in your presence. Not feelings you create with gifts or texts, but feelings that emerge from your energy, your certainty, your emotional leadership. This is the part no one teaches men. You think being dependable is enough. You think love is earned through acts of service. But the truth is, a woman can receive everything she says she wants and still feel empty because she doesn't want to feel safe like a sister. She wants to feel captivated like a lover. She wants to feel pulled in, inspired, activated, not just supported, but seen by a man who owns his reality. That's why this video exists. To end the confusion, to destroy the lies, to give you the framework to stop trying harder and start leading better. This isn't about tricks. It's not about game. It's not about changing who you are. It's about becoming more of the man you were meant to be. The one who understands that women follow energy, not effort. Presence, not performance. Power, not pleasing. If you've ever given your all and watched her drift, if you've ever been the nice guy she cried to, only to leave you for someone colder, if you're tired of losing without understanding why, stay. Watch this all the way through. And if it changes your mindset, drop unstoppable in the comments, so I know you're not like the rest. Support the channel so we can keep building content that helps good men stop losing themselves and start leading from power. Every like, comment, and share helps this message reach a brother who's stuck, confused, and ready to wake up. Number 1. The loyalty illusion. Why effort isn't enough. From a young age, you were taught that relationships work like a reward system. Be kind, be consistent, show love, and love will be returned. But that rulebook doesn't apply to the emotional world of women. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you stop hurting. Here's the hard truth. Women are not loyal to what you give. They are loyal to what they feel. You can be the man who shows up on time, sends flowers, never forgets a birthday, and still find yourself replaced by a man who's unpredictable, unavailable, and even reckless. It doesn't make sense until you realize what she's really loyal to. She's loyal to the emotional experience, not the checklist, not the comfort, the feeling she gets around you. And when that feeling fades, no amount of effort will save you. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean you stop being good to women. It means you stop assuming that goodness alone is enough. Love isn't logical. Loyalty isn't a contract. It's emotional. Which means the man she sticks with is the one who makes her feel something she can't explain, but never wants to lose. And that starts with your energy. Number 2, emotional chemistry versus logical security. Why she leaves the nice guy. Most men confuse security with connection. You believe that if you provide a stable environment, if you're always available, always kind, always there, she'll stay. But here's what you must understand. Women don't fall in love with predictability. They might appreciate it, they might respect it, but they don't chase it. What keeps them engaged, what builds emotional loyalty, is not security. It's chemistry, and chemistry is emotional, not logical. The nice guy offers logical security. He says the right things. He shows up when asked. He avoids confrontation. He adapts. He gives. But he gives from fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of not being good enough. So his giving comes with invisible strings. His kindness masks an expectation that if he's good enough, she'll finally choose him. But she never does, because she doesn't feel alive around him. She feels safe, but not stirred. The emotionally magnetic man is different. He doesn't give out of fear. He gives from overflow. He doesn't adapt to avoid losing her. He holds his frame even if it means tension. He doesn't say what she wants to hear. He says what is true, calmly and without apology. And that difference creates polarity. It builds emotional gravity. Women are drawn to men who challenge them emotionally, not through cruelty or chaos, but through presence, through unwavering self-respect, through the ability to say no without guilt, through confidence that doesn't need validation. These men create the feeling she's addicted to, being emotionally seen without being able to control the experience. That's what chemistry is, not a match of interests or shared hobbies, but a match of energy that puts her in her feminine, receptive, emotional, unpredictable, and makes her feel drawn toward your masculine without knowing why. This doesn't mean being toxic. It means being clear. It means being unafraid of her disapproval. It means being steady when she tests, quiet when she spirals, and unmoved when she withdraws. The nice guy can't do that. He folds under pressure. He fears conflict. He needs peace, not power. And because of that, he becomes emotionally invisible, reliable but boring, present but forgettable. And eventually, despite his efforts, she leaves. Not because she didn't care, but because she never felt something strong enough to stay. So if you want emotional loyalty, stop offering her what's comfortable. Offer her what's real, not from a place of performance, but from presence. Make her feel something she can't get from anyone else, not through chaos, but through clarity. Be the man who doesn't flinch. Be the man who doesn't chase. Be the man who leads the emotional rhythm of the connection with calm intensity. And watch how quickly the dynamic changes. Not because you begged for loyalty, but because you became the experience she's been silently waiting for. Number 3, what she's actually responding to. It's not your words. If you've ever tried to fix a problem with words and got nowhere, you already know this. Women don't respond to explanations. They respond to energy. You can say all the right things, make all the right promises, and still feel her drifting. Because it's not your words that hold her. It's what's behind them. It's the energy she feels when she's around you. And no sentence can compensate for weak energy. Masculine energy isn't loud. It's not aggressive or performative. It's steady, grounded, clear. It doesn't waver based on her mood. It doesn't adapt to avoid conflict. It doesn't over-explain. And most of all, it doesn't seek approval. When you speak from this place, your words carry weight. Not because they're clever, but because they're backed by presence. Most men talk too much when they're losing her. They try to reason, persuade, and clarify. I did this for you. I was just trying to make you happy. I don't understand why you're acting this way. But every sentence reveals something deeper. Fear. And she can feel it. She can feel when you're speaking from uncertainty. She can feel when your words are covering up anxiety. And it repels her. What draws her in is the opposite. Calm certainty. The kind of energy that says, I know who I am. I know what I offer. And I don't need you to validate it. This energy doesn't beg. It doesn't react. It doesn't seek. It observes. It holds. It decides. And in that energy, she feels something rare. Leadership. Because when a man speaks from grounded presence, his words don't have to convince. They clarify. They lead. They set direction. Not in a controlling way, but in a magnetic way. He He doesn't talk over her emotions. He gives them space without absorbing them. He doesn't try to change her feelings. He stays steady while she feels them. And in that steadiness, she finds what she's been looking for but could never describe. A man who leads emotionally without needing control. So if you want to know what she's actually responding to, stop analyzing her words. Stop scripting your texts. Stop playing mental chess, and start watching your own energy. Ask yourself, am I grounded or reactive? Am I leading or chasing? Am I showing up with purpose or performing for approval? Because once you speak from alignment, she feels it instantly. And when she feels it, her walls drop. Not because you convinced her, but because you reminded her, on a deep, primal level, what masculine presence feels like. And that memory lives in every woman, whether she can articulate it or not. Number 4, presence over performance, how to lead with energy. There's a quiet power in the man who no longer performs, who no longer tries to earn love by doing more, proving more, giving more. A man who's realized that the most powerful thing he can offer is his presence, not his perfection. This is the turning point most men never reach, because they're trapped in performance. They think relationships are about constant action, and every time they sense distance, they compensate with effort. But she doesn't want effort. She wants presence. Performance says, look at me, validate me, choose me. Presence says, I know who I am. I'm already chosen by me. And that energy shift changes everything. Presence is the ability to sit across from her, make eye contact, and not flinch when there's silence. It's the ability to listen without trying to fix, to hear her emotion without rushing to calm her. It's the ability to stay in your own energy even when she's spiraling in hers, not to detach, not to withdraw, but to remain calm, centered, and unmoved. Because your peace is not on the table, it's protected. The man who leads with presence isn't afraid to say no. He's not scared to walk away. He doesn't compromise his values to avoid discomfort. He doesn't try to entertain her every second. He creates space. He creates depth. And in that space, she feels something she can't get from most men: emotional safety without control, leadership without ego. This is why women are drawn to certain men even if they're not the most attractive, the richest, or the most successful. It's because of how those men make them feel, without trying to. It's the quiet confidence, the emotional steadiness, the unapologetic ownership of who they are. These men don't ask, "What should I say?" They know that presence speaks louder than any line. If you want to lead with energy, you must first become aware of your own. Are you grounded or are you scattered? Are you leading your life or reacting to it? Do you have purpose or are you waiting for a relationship to give you one? When you wake up in the morning, is your mind focused on what needs to be built? Or is it consumed by her response to your last message? Be honest with yourself, because a woman can feel when you're orbiting around her emotionally. And the moment she becomes your center, your energy loses gravity. Presence starts with purpose, and purpose starts with clarity. You have to decide, what kind of man do I want to be with or without her? What kind of energy do I want to live in? What kind of values do I stand on when no one's watching? When your life is driven by those questions, your energy shifts. You stop needing her to respond a certain way. You stop fearing her distance. You stop chasing feelings. And you start creating a life she wants to be pulled into. Not because you tried, but because your presence did the work your words never could. Number 5, detachment is power. The peace she can't walk away from. Most men are afraid to lose her. That fear controls their behavior, their voice, their actions. It makes them overthink every reply, question every pause, chase after every moment of emotional distance. But here's the paradox. The more you try to hold on, the faster she slips away. Because neediness repels and detachment attracts. The moment you stop fearing her absence is the moment you become powerful. Detachment isn't about being cold. It's not about pretending not to care. It's about understanding that your value doesn't come from her presence. It comes from your center. It comes from your ability to lead, to remain calm in storms, to walk away from what doesn't align with who you are. Detachment is the mindset that says, I would love to have you in my life, but I don't need you to be whole. And that's exactly what makes you magnetic. When a woman senses that your peace is not dependent on her affection, she feels something unfamiliar. Relief. She no longer has to manage your emotions. She no longer has to play the role of your source of worth. She no longer feels pressured to respond in ways that make you feel okay. Instead, she's drawn into your calm, your certainty, your quiet, steady leadership. Because your peace becomes the space where her emotions can flow freely without judgment or control. This is what most men get wrong. They confuse intensity with connection. They confuse obsession with commitment. They confuse anxiety with love. So they chase, they plead, they overinvest, and they become emotionally drained. Not because she took too much, but because he never stopped giving out of fear. But the man who's detached moves differently. He listens, but doesn't absorb. He gives, but doesn't overextend. He leads, but doesn't force. He's emotionally available, but not emotionally dependent. His love is not conditional on her staying. It's given freely, from a place of strength, not from a place of emptiness hoping to be filled. This type of peace is rare, and because it's rare, it's unforgettable. When a woman experiences it, she feels something deeper than excitement. She feels safe. Not in a boring way, but in a grounded, soulful way. A way that makes her relax. A way that makes her stop testing. A way that makes her want to stay, not out of obligation, but out of inspiration. To become this man, you have to shift your internal compass. Stop asking, how do I keep her? And start asking, am I living in alignment? Stop focusing on her actions and start focusing on your responses. Stop fearing abandonment and start embodying worth. Because the man who is truly detached is the man who no longer needs her to stay in order to feel powerful. And that's what makes him impossible to walk away from. Number 6, the final shift. Stop pleasing, start leading. If you've made it this far, you're ready for the shift that separates boys from men. The shift from pleasing to leading. You've already seen how effort without presence fails. You've understood that emotional chemistry outweighs logical giving. You've felt the pull of detachment and its magnetic power. Now comes the final step. Owning your role as a leader, not just in relationships, but in life. Pleasing is reactive. It waits, it observes and adapts. It seeks signals and bends itself to match them. It walks on eggshells. It says what's expected. It hides conflict to avoid rejection. The man who pleases does it out of fear. Fear of not being chosen. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of being too much or not enough. So he becomes agreeable, even when it compromises who he is. But leadership is different. Leadership is proactive. It decides, it directs, it creates a vision and invites others to align with it. It's rooted in truth, not approval. It doesn't avoid discomfort, it handles it. It doesn't fear emotions, it guides them. A leader is a man who knows what he stands for and won't shift just to be liked. This is the energy women crave, but rarely find. A man who doesn't adjust his boundaries to keep her close. A man who doesn't change his tone when she's upset. A man who doesn't try to please her in the short term, only to lose her respect in the long term. Women don't want a servant, they want a partner. A man who can handle their full emotional range without losing his sense of direction. This doesn't mean being harsh. It doesn't mean being emotionally unavailable. It means leading with love, but from power, not fear. It means saying yes when it's aligned, and no when it's not, without apology. It means calling out toxic behavior without trying to fix it. It means protecting your time, energy, and purpose. Not because you're better, but because you value your mission. Leading starts with how you lead yourself, your morning, your health, your money, your relationships, your mindset. Every time you make a decision from discipline instead of desire, you reinforce your leadership. Every time you speak your truth without trying to sugarcoat it, you reinforce your leadership. Every time you let go of someone who doesn't align with your standards, you reinforce your leadership. When you stop pleasing, you stop fearing. When you stop fearing, you start leading. And when you start leading, the entire emotional dynamic shifts. You no longer need her to choose you. You've already chosen yourself. And in that confidence, she sees a man she can respect, a man she can follow, a man she can finally stop testing. Because now she feels safe in your direction. You're not here to win her approval. You're here to walk in purpose, to build a life so powerful, so focused, so full, that the right woman feels honored just to be invited into it. And when she sees that man, not the one who bends, but the one who leads, she doesn't want to leave. She wants to follow. You've just unlocked a truth that changes everything. Not just about women, but about yourself. This wasn't a tutorial. This was a transformation. You now understand why the old rules failed you, why giving more didn't guarantee love, why being the nice guy didn't protect your heart, why chasing peace led to chaos. Because loyalty is not about what you give. It's about how you lead. Women don't attach to effort. They attach to energy, to certainty, to direction, to calm, to presence, to the man who doesn't need them to stay, but who builds a world so clear, so aligned, that they want to stay. Not because they're convinced, but because they're inspired. That's the man you've started becoming in this video. Not a pleaser, not a performer, but a leader, a man who speaks less and commands more. A man who owns his morning, his mood, his mission. A man who no longer chases loyalty because he embodies the presence women are wired to follow. From this moment forward, every interaction with a woman is a mirror. She will reflect back the energy you bring. If you come needy, she'll run. If you come uncertain, she'll test. If you come steady, grounded, whole, she will stay. Not because you convinced her, because you became undeniable. You no longer need to ask, why did she leave? Why didn't she choose me? Why didn't she stay after I gave everything? Now you know, she was never loyal to your actions. She was loyal to the emotional experience your presence gave her. And now you have the keys to that power. Not to use, not to manipulate, but to lead, to inspire, to create connection that lasts. Not by doing more, but by being more. The man who finishes this video isn't the same man who started it. You're not confused, you're not lost, you're not a victim. You are unstoppable. If this video opened your eyes, changed your energy, or gave you the clarity you've been missing, drop a single word in the comments. Unstoppable. That tells me you're one of the few who watched this all the way, who took it seriously, who's not just scrolling, but evolving. And if you want to make this message reach more men like you, subscribe, like, share this video. Because for every man who still thinks effort alone is enough, this could be the truth that saves him from years of pain. Support the channel, not for views, but for impact, so we can keep building content that changes lives, not with noise, but with clarity, not with hype, but with power. Because every man deserves to lead with peace, and every man deserves to become unstoppable. We're just getting started. Stay grounded, stay focused, lead with strength, live with purpose, and never again be confused by loyalty, because now you are the standard.